Decorator is the one of the structural design patterns that you can use in order to add the new functionality to your class without modifying an existing code, so it's compliant with the open-closed principle from Solid. My name is Remik, and in today's video we'll discuss how to use this design pattern in your .NET applications, the real-world use case, and also how to properly register it in the DI container. If you haven't subscribed my channel yet, then please hit the subscribe button down below, write a comment, give him a like, and as always, now we're going straight into the code. Alright guys, you're probably familiar with the Russian matryoshka dolls that are set of the wooden dolls of decreasing size placed one inside of another. So each doll opens to reveal a smaller doll inside with the smallest solid doll at its core. So this nesting structure closely mirrors the concept of the decorator pattern in the software design. Now, according to those Russian dolls, we'll have the following example in today's video. So we'll have the one endpoint in our ASP.NET Core application to get the students from the student service. And we would like to add the new, let's say, matryoshka to it to log the request and also measure the time. So we are not adding the new code and modifying the code of the student service, but we would like to add the new doll on the top of it to log the request and also measure the time. So we are compliant with the open-closed principle from Solid. According to the introduction, I have prepared the API that returns for us the students from the students database table. As you see over there, I have 5,000 records in the students table, so in the terms of the performance it could be costly in the future as the table will grow. So I have also the student service that the only thing that it does is to return all of those students to the caller. And according to the open-closed principle from Solid, I should not modify this code, but I should wrap this and extend the functionality of this class. And the decorator design pattern will be the perfect choice for this purpose. And now to use the decorator design pattern, I will create the separate class that will log the performance for us. So it will be called performance logging student service.cs, and in here I have to do two things. I have to implement the same interface as the one that will be decorating. So as you see, the student service is implementing this same interface as I am doing over there, and I have to, with the usage of the dependency injection, also inject the iStudents service that we would like to decorate. So I will introduce the read-only field in there, and also I will add the logger to it to log the performance. So logger with the type of this class will be called logger. And now we are ready to invoke student service get students async. So in here we will invoke this method, so the method from the student service, because this service is in the core of our decorated chain. So now when I will create the stopwatch and make the start and stop, we will be able to log the performance of this database call. Now I'll introduce the private read-only field of the type stopwatch to measure the time between the call to the database and getting the response out of that. So I will just instantiate new stopwatch inside of the constructor, so new stopwatch in here. So now I have to also assign the result of this call. So the student service will return for us the IEnumerable of students, so we have to assign the result of that because we are on the top of this service. And now before that I will use the stopwatch.restart method. After that I will of course use the stopwatch.stop, and I will be ready to use the logger and log the response time. So logger.log information elapsed milliseconds, elapsed milliseconds, and as the parameter I will just assign the stopwatch dot elapsed milliseconds. After that, of course, I have to return the result, so all of those students from the database. So once again, we are on the top of this students service because we have decorated this service with the functionality of logging the response time. So we are using the stopwatch on the top of it. After getting the result, we are stopping the stopwatch and logging how many milliseconds actually elapsed. And now the last thing to do, and very important one, in fact, is how to properly register the services in our DI container that are in the decorator design pattern relationship. And we would like to use one of the Nugget packages to help us out, and it will be called Scrator. And this Scrator we have to, of course, install in our API project. And now we can use one of the methods from this Nugget package to decorate our student service. So now this one is on the top, so it means that it will be in the core of our decorator design pattern relationship. So it will be inside, so everything that is below will decorate what's on the top of it. So now we'll have the builder.services.decorate with the type of iStudentService, so the same one as over there. And now the performance logging student service. So it means that this decorate will just wrap our student service, so it will decorate this one. And when we would like to have multiple of those services that will decorate each other, so it means that, for instance, this one will have another class and this one will decorate this performance logging student service. So we can create the structure like the onion, so we'll have multiple layers of the decorator design pattern relationship. I have run my API, and now when I will invoke the get students endpoint, we'll see that it actually took 102 milliseconds to return 5,000 students from the database. In the real world scenario, we'll not have only the students table without any joins, but of course it could, for instance, take 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 1 second, and for us it will be beneficial in this case to know that we have actually not very performant call to the database and we have to modify it or do maybe something in the database side. So when I will press resume, we'll see in the console that we have this logging functionality on the top of this student service, what's inside of the core in our decorator design pattern relationship. So as you see, we have invoked this call, and on the top of it we have this stopwatch restart and also stop, and we have logged this one. If you would like to, for instance, add also the caching functionality, of course we can add another service in the terms of the separation of the concerns, and we will have also the caching functionality on the top of this student service. So now, once again, you have to implement the same interface. You have to inject by the dependency injection this iStudent service in this case, and after that also you need to take care of the proper order. So on the top you have the core of the decorator design pattern relationship, and below you have another layers.